It was. Turn you around, okay, Jan? Does that work?
Sure.
That way people know she's here. In addition to the 3 board members here, we also have Jan, who is zooming in from the Keys. She's rubbing it in a little bit. So first item, 1.1, adjustment to the agenda. Is there anything, Ms. McCall?
No adjustments.
Okay, and 1.2, approval of the minutes. Is there a motion?
So
Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. 1.3.
Is Jan approving the minutes?
Oh, maybe I should turn her back over so I can see. Jan, did you approve the minutes as well? Yes, she did.
Thank you.
I'll turn her back so I can see her. 1.3, approval of the warrants. They've been signed and given back to Lori. So we will move to 2.0, public comment. I do not see anybody, so we'll move forward. Do we have a 3.0 tonight? No?
we do not.
Okay. So we will move to 4.0, superintendent report.
No resignations, no retirements, no transfers at this time. As far as a new hire, we have Jennifer. She goes by JJ Chisholm. She will be a new custodian at Caribou Community School, and she'll be starting in a couple of weeks. She had to give a notice, so Wayne is pretty happy starting to get back to full staff. And then the other thing I'd like to mention to you is 4.5. On April 8th, we have talked about the fact that will be a solar eclipse. And we've heard a lot about planning and preparation for it and concerns about potential amount of people that will be, I don't think this is working, the amount of people that will be in, can you hear me?
Occasionally.
Okay, well, we're concerned about the amount of people that potentially will be in the area viewing the solar eclipse. And also the time of the eclipse, total eclipse is supposed to be about 3:32, pending we don't have any clouds. But anyway, in preparation for that and trying to ensure that we don't have students on the bus being transported home at that time, we would like to propose that we have an early dismissal of 1:15. I will share with you, we did discuss other options, such as we have an early release day the Friday before, and maybe doing a flip-flop and making Monday an early release day. But my concern is that we're robbing teachers of some valuable time that they need to do some work. And with the eclipse on Monday, I'm afraid that would kind of impede the work that they potentially would be doing. And I know that teachers do value that opportunity to have early release days. So we'd like to keep our early release day as you've already approved in the calendar and simply look for an early dismissal of 1:15 on April 8th. And that way we can have students home prior to the actual eclipse, and that way they'll be safe.
Do you need a vote? No?
It's still a student day. So it's just really, I'm
Perfect.
sharing with you, but assuming that if you had a concern with it, you would let me know.
Sounds good. I guess we can move to 5.1, board facilities subcommittee.
Bethany and I met, and what we were looking at primarily is finding a mutual space for early childhood or daycare.
Hey, Jean.
And Jane has been part of quite a large committee. So Bethany and I, after a lot of talking back and forth, came up with a pros and cons list, which I shared with the board. We won't be sharing that tonight. We're still in the early stages, but as we get closer, we'll be talking more about it. We actually have, I guess I'm asking Lindsay and Jean if they feel that it might be worth doing a workshop so that the board can sit and talk about it and just go over the pros and cons and then make a decision as to where they want to go. She's shaking her head.
Yes, I think that's appropriate. Yeah, given that you've done a lot of legwork in providing pros and cons, and then we can all digest it together and maybe come up with maybe more pros or more cons or different viewpoints.
Right, and a decision as to whether, it's something we can handle as the RSU, so. We've talked to quite a few, community partners and businesses throughout the district as well, and, there's a big interest in this. We have to realize that this is a problem that's across the landscape and not just belonging to the RSU, so we're willing, we're able, but we do have our own interests to take care of, and these will be discussed, as Lou had indicated in the workshop, if that's approved, and therefore we can come to a larger decision within the board about how to proceed. But to be aware that we care about our child care. It's us, it's our kids and grandkids. So stay tuned and let us have a little bit longer because, again, statewide issue.
Thank you. I think also maybe just because we're missing two of our board, well, Jan is via Zoom, but Tanya is not here. Maybe we can set an email chain to figure out a date where we can all meet for a workshop. Is that okay with everyone?
That sounds fun.
Okay. Thank you. And then 5.2, Technology Center, Ms. White, I believe, has a presentation for us.
Good evening. I did provide you a packet at your station earlier this evening, but it's my understanding that Ms. Chapman also sent you one for you to review before the meeting tonight. I did want to provide you with some updates on some of the good work that's been happening at Caribou Tech. The first section in the report that I have for you tonight is some of the grants that have been applied for from some of the CTE staff. The first grant was completed by Amanda Baker, our criminal justice instructor, who will also be tasked with teaching outdoor recreation in the next school year. She did submit a grant through the Maine Department of Education for $249,999 for equipment and storage for that program specifically. So we're hoping that we at least get funded partially, if not holistically, in that grant. We also had a grant completed by Keith Dumont in the amount of $10,000 for PPE for his students, and the possibility of some additional welders to provide more opportunity for his students to have additional tools to work with, some updated equipment. Harbor Freight did recently donate a $200 gift card, which we utilized to purchase additional safety glasses for students in the tech center. And the Aroostook County Safety Directors did recently donate a large amount of safety vests, hard hats, welding gloves, safety glasses for our students as well. So those are all good things happening. One of my main reasons for being here tonight is to discuss some changes that need to occur in our diversified occupations program. We currently have a course identification code, zip code of 99700, which is called Diversified Occupations. And what that is a program that really has emphasis in several different curriculum areas, one of which is a food preparation area, which is kind of what we have been doing historically. One direction that could be gained from that curriculum is with a focus on hospitality. But when you look at the hospitality curriculum within it, it's just a small portion in the diversified occupations zip code. Realistically, what we would really like to do is change the program to a hospitality focus. So from the start of the program to the end of the program, the emphasis would be on hospitality. So let me first take you back to why we need to change. So currently, that program 100% services special education students. And so I'm sure you're all familiar with the requirements in the state of Maine that all career and technical education programming must be mainstreamed programs that include special education students. And so when the Department of Ed did our most recent school review in 2019, there was a recommendation made, a strong recommendation, that we change that practice. And so we were tasked with rebranding that program. To rebrand a program where we serve 7 partner schools is a challenge without a lot of education, which we plan to present to our partner schools, that education on, number one, the rationale of why the change is being made and what it's becoming. So when you look at the programs that we currently offer at Caribou Tech, we have a culinary arts program, and we're going to have a new outdoor recreation program. And if you look at the needs in the state of Maine, there's a tremendous push right now for tourism, hospitality. That industry is lacking, and a lot of the jobs that are currently existing have some sort of hospitality focus. So as a career and technical education site, it's our task to train students to go to work. So we want to make sure we're training students to go to work in areas where there are opportunities for them to work. So my proposal is that rather than try to remarket a program that exists and keep the current zip code in place, which is diversified occupations, that we instead change it. Keep the same staff member, keep the same classroom, keep the same equipment, and call it hospitality, which is more realistic to what the needs are in the industry. So that's part of my update, but that would require a school board vote. Anytime there is a new program proposal, the Department of Ed does require school board input, which I believe there's an action item on next. So I'm going to move on to provide you with some more updates. Just a reminder, our fire science program is running this year, first year fire science. This year, Mr. Alter is teaching half a day fire science, half a day exploratory. Next year, we will be bringing the EMT piece back into our programming. And so he will be teaching the fire science EMT courses next year, which leads us to having some challenges and difficulty with what we do with exploratory. And we did put together a committee in collaboration with Caribou Community School, looking at the potential for the possibility of doing half-day middle school CTE, half-a-day exploratory. There's some challenges around that, and so there's going to be more discussions with Mr. Karen and Mr. Barnes in the future on what the best options would be for both schools going forward. I wanted to provide you an update as well on some of the Caribou Tech cleanup that's been happening on the equipment that we have sold thus far this year, and the amount that each item was sold for. So that's in the report as well. And then I just attached in your packet on your station tonight the latest flyer from the Maine tourism industry about the need for hospitality programs and careers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And so I think.
Can I ask a question, please? Of course. Thank you. When I taught that hospitality program, that was funded by a Carl Perkins grant. How is that funded? And do you have equipment for the program? There's a couple of things I'm interested in.
Yeah, we would use all of the current equipment that we already have in place. We have, if you're up in the tech center area, we have a culinary arts kitchen, and then directly beside our culinary arts kitchen, we have a food services space where we would like to, with Carl Perkins funding, provide some additional supplies in there to maybe do beverage service, customer service, curriculum, some other additions to amp up the collaboration that would exist between the culinary arts, the hospitality, the outdoor rec. And so I'm hoping to use some Carl Perkins funding for that. We also would have the funding that is currently in place for the diversified occupations course. It just would change to, instead of it being used for diversified occupations, it would be used for hospitality.
So for the hotel suite type of setup with the you know, with the laundry aspect of it and all that, is that,
That, we already have laundry and all of that in place in our culinary arts
do you have the
program.
materials to train for all that?
Yes, we do. We have a couple of different areas in the tech center that have those sorts of facilities. We have it in our culinary arts program, and we also have it as part of our CNA class.
Very good,
Yes.
thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, so is there a motion?
I'll make that motion to accept Ms. White's proposal with complete trust that she's on top of the latest needs of our population all the way across.
Are we doing
Thank you.
or doing culinary arts, or not, I'm sorry, the hospitality and then the
We'll do it separate.
school? Okay.
Yeah, we'll do the
I'm sorry,
schedule
mine would
separate.
be for the, is that the first one you're entertaining?
Yes, yep.
Yes, for the hospitality.
Yes.
Proposal.
So we
Make that
have
motion.
And a second?
Lou seconds. Any discussion? No? All in favor? And Jan affirms.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving to 6.2, consider changes to the Caribou High School master schedule and grading periods.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm here tonight just to provide you with an update on the work that's been done since the last time we met. So nothing has changed from the packet that was presented in December. The schedule still remains the same. Everything's still on the table. But since then, we had an early release day with our staff. All the departments worked together to compile their own department schedule to make sure that we had enough blocks, that we had enough offerings, that everything lined up. And I'm happy to say that they were able to work through their department schedules during the early release day. We have since built a draft master schedule to make sure that everything was in alignment, there was enough offerings, and we're working through doing sample student schedules just to make sure, but we've counted courses, we've counted offerings, things like that, just to make sure that this was going to work the way that we thought it was going to work. And it's proving to be doing just that. So at this point, we will be working towards working with the teacher leaders to now start finding conflicts. So that's the next step in scheduling, is making sure that we don't have classes going up against other classes that juniors may take. So we'll go through that process with our teacher leaders to find conflicts. Once we find all the conflicts and make those changes, then we move into having the first draft of master schedule, which we actually start plugging student schedules into. So the process and the timeline that I'm hopeful for is to have the draft master schedule done by February break, and we will start building student schedules when we come back after February break. So that's where our timeline is. That's kind of an update on the work we've done since we've last met. So at this point, I guess I would just ask for the vote to continue this work.
To what?
To continue the work.
Jan, do you have anything
I love work.
to add, or are
Watch
you
a little bit.
okay with moving
So
forward?
we're not looking to vote to approve the schedule change?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
So this is the big vote. Could I have, I know the music department wasn't there because they were at Aroostook, so that was taken care of.
Yeah, so both music teachers had the opportunity to give me input prior to. We kind of built their section based on what they provided, and we have a meeting set up so that we can review to make sure that I got it in there accurately, but we collaborated prior to them meeting, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd like to say
Well, I
that
only-
I certainly think
My
that
question to Jamie would be, do you foresee any issues coming up that you can't maneuver or work to change to make it work? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I don't believe so. I mean, scheduling is a very grand beast to take on, I think. And once you've kind of solidified your structure, it's just a matter of moving and tweaking and flipping and flopping to make sure things work. But by building the department schedules, by counting out number of courses and offerings in the blocks, knowing that we have that set at this point, I feel that now moving forward, it's just going to be a matter of, okay, we're gonna move that from block 2 to block 3. Okay, we're gonna move that from semester 1 to semester 2, just to offset any conflicts with student populations. I don't foresee any structural issues at this point.
I'm guessing like, because in the beginning stages, the first few meetings we had, those big things that you couldn't maneuver around was how we kind of got to the schedule that you're at now. Like we would have already come up to those things, right?
Right, like some of the big issues that we talked about in our committee meetings is like, is this going to work with tech? Is this going to work with certain student populations? And we've ruled all of those pieces out by the schedule that you're presented with. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Do we have a motion?
I'd like to just say that I think that you've done your due diligence on this. I know that we've sparred a little bit on it, but the fact that you've involved the board with this and kept us up to date, and also this extra time has come up with some very creative answers to some of the board's initial requests for innovation within a standardized schedule. So I think you've done a great job. I move that we consider the changes to the Caribou High School master schedule and the grading periods.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Jan seconds. Any discussion, further discussion? All in favor? Jan votes in the affirmative. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, now we move to 7.1. The board will enter into executive session to discuss the evaluation of the superintendent of schools pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056A. Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Jan votes in the affirmative.